This week's episode was brought to you by Matt Becker, Lisa Walker, and Steven Sevier. Thank you, Matt Becker, Lisa Walker, and Steven Sevier. It's with the generous support of listeners just like you that our intrepid band of bunnies keeps trekking onward towards the Chapel Perilous, setting up shrines along the way and making sure that other followers along the path find strange objects on their journey back to the point of all places, because wherever you're going, here you are. If you'd like to disembark on a mystic journey to find the top of the Holy Mountain or just hear the second half of this episode, then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of just $5 will not only get you instant access to the extended second part of this episode, you'll get the extended second half of our entire library of episodes, which more than double the content you have available to study or binge or freak out about. But that's not all. I'll send you a 5x5 high-quality vinyl sticker of our Big Bunny Baphomet cover at no additional cost, except waiting. There's some waiting. And the secret keys to our Discord server, where you can pick Heka Astra's brain about ancient Egypt when your university classes are too busy hiding the truth from you. Make sure to check out our $10 a month tier if you want instant access to our entire library of show notes as well, which can be a bit rough around the edges, but you could fill the page of an entire forbidden encyclopedia. Think of it like an occult cheat sheet. In this week's episode, Heka Astra continues to lead us through her research of the Egyptian Neteret of truth and justice, Ma'at. In the free side of the show, we discuss Ma'at's sibling, Shu, the woman in the red dress, Ammit, the devourer of hearts, the cannibal him, Ma'at's parents, and why they're so eager to sniff her. In the extended show, we discuss Flamingos, alchemical wisdom, Kid Rock, the significance of the color red in Egyptian religion, which feather is which, and then on whose head is it, before settling into a discussion about what the whole thing has to do with astrophysics. Thank you, and enjoy the show. I hate to admit it, but my alcoholism is really screwing up my law career.
Oh?
Every time I pass the bar, I just go in.
Yeah.
You ever wonder why lawyers are buried 12 feet under?
Why?
It's because deep down, they're really good people. What do you call a monkey that breaks the law?
What?
A crymate.
That's funny.
What do you call a priest that becomes a lawyer?
What?
A father-in-law.
I like that one.
What is the legal loophole in breaking and entering laws?
What?
The Santa Claus.
What?
Yeah.
That one's good. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Whole Rabbit, where we don't just tell you that justice is blind, and that's why you should wander around groping at anything that promises to offer a glimpse of truth or just feels pleasantly squishy. Nay, we raise our eyes to Ra, squint intensely, stand on one foot, and prepare to receive the shoe. Because this week, we're submitting ourselves to the third part of our ongoing occult exploration of the ancient Egyptian Neteret of truth, justice, and order, the goddess Ma'at. Fundamental to not just ancient religion, but the metaphysical fabric of the universe itself. I'm your host, Luke Madrid, also known as Hack Rabbit. I'm joined this week by our loyal co-host officers in the field, the doggy in the dimensional doorway, Mori-sama.
It's going to be a $50 cover charge
Really? Hold on a minute.
to get into the dimensional doorway, man. Tony up.
The vibrations in the void. Tim, the telepath hacker.
Hello, I'm a robot. I'm a scion, sent from the AI.
And the sun Neteret with the derpy dog pet, who wrote this deep dive and is our tour guide today, Heka Astra.
Hello.
The episodes in this series just get better and better. This one has femme fatales, flamingos, bare breasts, bird feathers, and a boy named Sue. So I hope you're ready.
I'm a little ready.
I like how in order to get to the really good, hidden, bona fide information about this Egyptian goddess, you have to wade through an ocean of our bad jokes. You know, the ancient priesthood saw us in the astral way back then. We're like, who are these rabbit assholes?
You ever seen those videos of rabbits swimming?
Yes.
We're just rabbits swimming in soup.
It's true.
Isn't that in the Unefer
Yeah.
hieroglyph? It's a rabbit swimming in soup. The same soup we're talking about.
So, reeling it back for a quick recap before diving in again. We discussed previously how all of the power of the universe is called magic, or Heka, meaning that all of the power of the gods and the gods themselves are Heka. So this is basically a term for the primordial and eternal source, Ka, or soul.
Meaning the universe itself is made of soul stuff.
And since this soul stuff is primordial, it is also kind of a no-thing magic. Magic of the eternal zero Ka, from which the many Ka souls are created.
We discussed last time how the Greek term chaos is used in a similar manner as a primordial stillness or gap from which things were created. In Kemetic philosophy, this no-thingness is full of Ka, or soul.
So this is hugely important because just this acknowledgement of the Ka soul aspect of Neteru, otherwise called the gods and goddesses, was essential for understanding and functioning even in the most menial of daily activities. And in my opinion, it still is. It's kind of a big part of the difference between just being alive and truly living.
This reminds me a little bit of Mesoamerican culture because we learned that everything you did, you put a little personal spin on it. The idea of everything being like manufactured, assembly line, everything is uniform, like that's kind of this modern alien idea.
You know, it's kind of funny, like when someone is kind of just going through the motions and doing something without any passion to it, what do we say? One more time with more soul, right?
Yeah, or more heart. Yeah.
So many people do think of the Neteru as entities in this way, acknowledging a kind of macrocosmic soul, and then ultimately just stopping there. But as I've said previously, to Kemetic wisdom traditions, there is more to it than this. Or less, depending on your perspective of the zero, I guess. It's easy to get hung up on viewing a god or goddess as being beyond us, entirely separate and superior.
Egyptian gods seem separate and superior in so much as they are isolated and pure embodiments of an idea of something that's basically just hard-baked into nature.
Yes. And they're only really separated as a concept. So the key is that the Egyptians recognized that these universal energies are also principles of life, and as such are found everywhere. You are Heka, I'm Heka, and all the Neteru are too. The fulfillment of this is remembering it. So this week we're taking the things that we talked about in the last 2 episodes, then we're going to talk about how to recognize Ma'at through her symbols.
I think etymologically the term remember is a loaded phrase when considering Egyptian spirituality. After all, is Horus just the remembering of Osiris?
I like that he mentioned that. This is like Luke peering far off into the distance, being like, wait, I recognize a pattern that's over there.
And what does Mufasa say to Simba?
Something like, remember who you are?
Remember, you have to put my body back together and avenge my death and kill my brother and my wife, your mom. It's mythology, okay? It's confusing. Just you're a lion. Don't think too much about it, Simba.
Look, a lion. Oh my God.
Is that what we learned? Is that's the translation of the lyrics?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually the lyrics to the. What's the translation?
Look, it's a lion. Oh my God.
That's actually what he's saying.
Every time you think or do anything, you are interfacing with a complex system of these macrocosmic energies called the Neteru. Likewise, Heka is entangled in everything, expressed as individuated Ka, or life force and soul. All of that, including archetypal energies, egregores, the gods, and their powers, are formed by and always subject to Ma'at, as we mentioned in previous episodes.
Okay, I'm mixing conspiracy lore and Egyptian religion, but I'm pretty sure whenever you hear the word loosh, this is what they're referring to. Like, you know, when the aliens are said to be sucking or eating our loosh, the Egyptians would have called it ka. So there. It's like your vital essence.
Cannibal.
Oh no!
So Ma'at is often described as being born in the divine lineage directly after Atum Ra, a composite netter.
Does that mean Ra is above the law? It rhymes after all, it must be true.
Atum Ra is a combination of Atum, the creator god embodying the creative autogenesis, and Ra, the solar consciousness creator god embodying life going forth as the created. Many people will equate the two as simply being slightly different aspects of the same god. I personally like to think of Atum Ra as the inseparable acknowledgement of the living mind of the creative principle in action.
Just glancing at the Hermetic tradition, I believe Shaddai El Kai is likely the Hebrew god name equivalent of this idea.
Absolutely. And you do it every time in the middle pillar. It's the Sephiroth that's at your...
Dantian!
What's the nice way of saying it?
Your goop bucket.
Yeah, your goop bucket. You know what I'm saying?
Root chakra?
Love it.
Yeah, your root chakra. There you go.
Or above it?
It's like right there.
Yeah,
That's Sephiroth.
it's confusing because in the middle pillar, you really put that sphere at your groin, and then you put like what your root chakra would be at your feet. So it gets kind of confusing.
Adonai Haaretz at your feet.
So we do see other composite deities described in this creative arena as well, which highlight the various aspects of this autogenerative creative divinity, such as Amun Ra. For example, Amun specifically highlights the hidden Amun nature of Ra's creative consciousness principle stemming from the primordial divine, compared to Atum, which highlights the conscious creator aspect as a whole. You'll find like in different areas of Egypt in different times as well that they focused a bit more on different aspects, but it's all essentially the same understanding.
There's a lot of lore out there that the Tetragrammaton from Kabbalah is actually based on Atum from this Egyptian religion of the one god, or Atum Ra.
There's a lot of alternate ways to pronounce it because it's kind of hard to give like an actual pronunciation for how it was, but you see like Atum, Atem, Tem, Temu, like you have a whole bunch of different versions of it. So I think that would be right in line with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Atem.
And a lot of like Hebrew mystery tradition, it's all from Egypt, so it makes total sense.
I'm trying to keep it really simple with using like the most basic terms for people that aren't exceptionally into it.
Yeah, that's good. Because like when you start to say like the tree of life comes from Egypt, people start to go like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's totally on the pillars of Egypt.
There's no trees in Egypt.
No, like the Kabbalic, you know what I'm saying. The Kabbalic tree of life.
It's a desert.
So these holistic, unified versions of Neteret as hybrids imply creation and the role that consciousness has in it in its various forms. So we see a conscious awareness of the interactive engagement in the creator Atum Ra. We see that this is sometimes alternatively credited to Ptah, focusing on the roles of divine heart and thought in creation. The commonality of these concepts is that they all seem to point to the inherent consciousness aspect that is evident in manifest creation, in life. This is similar to the ancient Greek concept of the mind of God, the sovereign intellect, or the nous of the absolute as it is made manifest, the active mind of God.
So we might conceptualize the Neteret as actors in God's mind that are also active in the world as forces or overarching ideas.
When we see Ma'at being described as the daughter of Ra, or Atum Ra, we are to understand that Ma'at is brought forth consecutively with each expression of the divine creation, and Ma'at is likewise enforced by this divinity. So her divine principles are perpetually born and self-enforced simultaneously through the consciously created sovereign. And now for a break to read from the first tractate of the Corpus Hermeticum.
From the Poimandres, quote, that light, he said, I am, mind, nous, your God, who was before the moist nature which appeared out of darkness, and the luminous word, logos, from the mind, is the Son of God, end quote.
Quote, what is that, I say?
Quote, understanding the following, that within you which sees and hears the word, logos, of the Lord, the mind is the Father, God, not that they are separate from each other, for life is their union, end quote.
This divine law, or Ma'at, penetrates the universe, governing the experience and existence of each manifestation of the divine light, linking it back to its source. Magic, spirit, or Heka, as we might call this nothing source, manifests into multitudes of distinguished things in form and function.
Sounds like she's a bit of a manager or a moderator of the universe.
I like that. In turn, these would be considered to be the many manifestations of Ra, from the rays of the sun to the tiniest speck of sand and everything in between. It's with this understanding that you find Ma'at everywhere you look. There is Ma'at as a universal principle staring back at you and silently speaking to you. By saying, I am Heka, it's actually a pretty simple way to say that you're operating from this understanding. It's similar to saying Namaste, the divine in me sees the divine in you, but without the explicit connection to Lululemon or hot yoga.
Woo!
Hot yoga is pretty hot.
For example, last week I brought up the Kemetic practices and how they overlap with declarations in the Bible from Jesus where he says, I am. And so now we can look at Gnostic Jesus and how he acknowledges divinity via this all-pervasive ma'at. The I am theme continues.
And this is from the Gospel of Thomas, verse 77. Quote, I am the light that is over all things. I am all. From me all came forth, and to me all attained. Split a piece of wood, I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there. Unquote.
Basically, this is a consciously holistic recognition of Ma'at as Heka and how the divine source is carried forward, not only as the created, but in the seemingly zero-sum voids between and in all thinginess.
I'm evidence there's multiple lenses to view this same real thing because these ideas, deities, and symbols that correspond to them in this conversation sound a lot like whatever energy I experienced when I met the Sophia, but my experience was only Egyptian themed on the periphery in the ritual chamber because it was intellectually satisfying. But when the direct, actual experience happened to me, it offered itself in a way that felt less alien, like let's say than Egypt or some other culture, but it was still in accordance with the ideas I had invoked. So when I met Sophia, I didn't get Atum Ra and Ma'at, I got hot Jesus waifu Sophia. But it's basically, it sounds like the same idea to me, what you're describing.
I kind of think of the Kemetic lens as more of like a non-lens in some sense, because it's a way to contextualize, understand, syncretize, and emulsify other lenses.
That's really relevant. This makes a lot of sense to me because when I was doing my shadow work and like trying to heal some shit wrong with me years ago, I had a meditation spin out into this like vision. In my head was repeating, I am that I am that I am that I am. And so I pondered I am for a long time while meditating. When you're meditating and you empty your mind and you expand your awareness, that you become the things around you. So you're looking at like that quote from Gnostic Jesus I just read. It's like, you split open some wood and I am that. I am, the candle that burns. I am the grasshopper in the blades of grass, in the wind in the trees. It's just like, I've actually had that experience too. And you can't really explain it, but it's
like
foundational. It's like realer than my ego, myself. It's realer than anything that I have experienced in my everyday life. So anyway, I just like totally have had that experience before. And it is kind of difficult to explain to people, but now understanding Ma'at and like that it's a foundational rule, it makes sense that you're just experiencing the foundation of consciousness reality.
I've experienced something kind of similar. That's why I was like, oh, it's kind of like a reflection, because like what started me on shadow work was the question of like, who am I? Who am I really? And it's like this question that unfolded a whole deep dive on trying to figure out who I was. This is like when I was a teenager, and anything that I would land on, I'd be like, but that's not it. So I ended up landing pretty heavily on the not this in reference to myself.
Netty.
Yeah, netty. And it's an absolute reflection of like the twisted wick symbolism, right? It's as above, so below, as within, so without.
But it's crazy how the I am is the only like legitimate answer to that when you're actually doing the pondering.
Yeah, because that's making that relationship, right, with the divine.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Moses' bush said to him? He said,
Yes,
I am that I am. But presumably it was Hebrew, so it was E-hey-yay. That's the word of God you're supposed to say that corresponds to your crown chakra. So technically that would be the right way to start your meditation, Maury. Except you're supposed to say it in Hebrew, though, not English.
But even in English, I mean, hearing it said over and over, it's like, I am that. I am that. I am that. That I am. Like, it separates itself into all of these different phrases, but they all mean the same thing.
Isn't it pronounced eheye?
I didn't want to blow up the audience, Tim. What can I say?
No, I'm just saying, like, that's one of the most meaningful mantras that I've ever dealt with. And it came to me like as a vision. So
I like that you start with the one and you end up at the other. Like you can start with the netty and you end up at the I am, or you start with the I am and you end up at the netty and it's the snake biting its own tail.
Yeah, it's the zero again.
Then you got the Sufi one, which is, there is no God but God.
So on top of her role as a primordial being in the creation of the universe, Ma'at is also responsible for keeping the universe from plunging back into chaos.
I will eat my neighbors. I'm not letting my kids die.
With Ra himself said to live on Ma'at.
What a freeloader. Seriously, does this mean without Ma'at, Ra would not exist? I thought Ra was the dad, but he also gave birth to her. Does Ra have a uterus? I have many questions.
I think probably an easier way to think about this is that their thinginess, once they are thingy, thinginess is coexistent and co-hidden simultaneously in the coming forth of Ra.
Yeah.
And then it continues to be reiterated. So this is why you see so many different versions of being born before or after or by Ra or next to Ra. Like,
Okay.
It's
that
like
make
the same
sense?
thing. Yeah, because it's like Ra is the awareness coming out of that wholeness. So once the awareness starts, you could say that the awareness looking back at Ma'at and identifying her as separate from him, that she came from him in that way that he named her. He has the actual ego vision, whereas Ma'at is the all.
It's kind of like perpetual motion generator. So it's like, well, was it born from this, or did it swing back to that, or did it swing back to that, or did it swing back to that? It's like it's just continuously born within and alongside and in, and anything that is born is also born into it. So it's kind of like like folding inwards, if that makes sense. Like we like to think of it as like folding outwards, but it's actually like going further into itself. For example, when you were born, Ma'at was also born with you. And then anytime you create anything, you also make Ma'at born. Does that make sense? Like it's generative.
Yes.
Yes.
Like karma.
Yeah, kind of like karma. So Ma'at was known through the regulated movements of the stars in the heavens, as well as the cycles of the seasons. So Ma'at keeps the stars in their rightful places. That cosmic harmony is Ma'at. So you can kind of think of how the gravitational pull and the equalization balance is for each unique celestial body in their individual matters, as well as how they interact with each other. The interplay of gravity between celestial bodies and the rightful places of them as a whole balanced system plays a huge part in choreographing the dance of our solar system. So how do you recognize the silent choreographer? What symbols are we given for this?
Choreographer, now we just call them the four fundamental forces of the universe.
Ma'at's integral role in Atum's spontaneous autogenesis and consequent creation was also elucidated in the coffin text. So the following words are spoken from Atum's perspective, saying,
I was floating between two waters, totally inert, and it was my son, Life, who roused my spirit, who made my heart, live, and gathered up my inert members.
Atum smokes a lot of cigarettes.
Gathering up inert members sounds like more remembering.
The waters of noon responds.
Inhale your daughter Ma'at and raise her to your nostrils so that your your heart, may live. May they not be far from you, your daughter Ma'at and your son Shu, whose name is Life.
Everybody knows you have to give your kid a sniff sometimes.
I got hairy legs.
Oh my God.
They smell good, you know, kids. Oh, there's that Marilyn Manson album. Smells like children. He knows.
Actually, babies do smell good.
Poop is pretty cool. You're right.
You
Well,
know,
not that part.
yeah, not so much the poop, but there is a scent relationship that is shared between parent and child, especially mother and child, between both the infant smelling the mother and pheromones from the mother. And the other way around as well, from mother to infant. And it's meant to, like on a scientific level, it's meant to have that connection so that there's perpetuation of life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I mean, I've smelled
Yeah.
other babies and they smell pretty good.
Yeah, I think my point is that you're biologically more compelled.
So if
to-
it's my niece, then
You're-
she smells better than other babies.
Yes.
That stuff is sort of built into how you're programmed, you know.
Like I literally
how-
hated babies until she was a baby.
Like the law of how to relate to people is built in. You know, like Ma'at is somehow related to smell, is what I'm getting at.
I used to hate babies and children in general, and then I became an aunt, and now I think they're kind of cute. I totally believe there's like a smell link to a lot of things. Humans are not aware of the smell aspect either. Like I have an extremely strong sense of smell and I have a lot of memories and things linked to smell. Other people do too, but I think it's one of our strongest senses, but we don't give it enough credit.
So a big reason why I wanted to bring this quote into it was because it says specifically, your daughter Ma'at and your son Shu, whose name is Life. So here we're actually given a hint that Ma'at is also related to Atum's son Shu as his sister. So I'm going to give you the Shu.
You know, since moving to Long Beach, we found out this is the white person equivalent of taking off the chancla. We've heard it multiple times. I'm going to give you the shoe. So if you hear that,
Oh,
that's
like-
what that means.
Smacking someone with your flip-flop.
Yes.
Is that why
Yes.
Latina TikTok videos are always taking off their shoe and
Yes.
beating their boyfriends with them?
Yes.
Yes, that's the chancla from what, abuela or mama?
So I've heard so many people here in Long Beach say, "Do you want the shoe?" It's like a threat they'll give to their dog. I just keep hearing it.
So hear me out.
Yeah.
How is this on point? The Justice card, lady usually has a sword, but also the Hebrew letter association of Lamed means ox goad. You know, something you like poke the ox, like go do it, you get the shoe. It's actually kind of on point.
Okay, so let's summarize what's going on here in this text. Atum, the creator Neter, says that he was inert, floating between two waters, when his son, called life, that's Shu, roused his spirit, made the foundation of the heart alive, and gathered the infinite into members.
Sounds like an ambitious kid. Had a lot to do.
We then see the waters of noon respond by telling Atum to breathe in Ma'at, his daughter, in order for his heart to live. So we see Ma'at is necessary for the Ab, or heart soul, to live, and Shu as life is necessary for life. This placing of Ma'at as Atum's daughter and Shu's sister is a mention of Ma'at in place of where we would typically see the goddess Tefnut.
Meaning we typically see Shu and Tefnut paired together instead of Shu and Ma'at. But because they're kind of interchangeable in this way then, right?
Yes, specifically in this context, normally we would see Shu and Tefnut together.
Now it's Ma'at and Shu.
So we see Shu's sister and wife here being described as Ma'at in a creation story. So again, this is an energetic commentary on creation. So this text is implying some connection between these divine feminine principles, Ma'at and Tefnut. In this text, we're given an explicit connection between these two, and we get some answers as to what those connections are just by looking at how the divine feminine principles, or Neteret, themselves were depicted in ancient Egypt as creative principles. So in this episode, we are mostly focusing on how to recognize Ma'at through her symbolic representation, not just all around us in daily life, but also in other theological parallels. Much of the symbolism is still the same, given that mankind and the earthly environment are, unsurprisingly, still with the same symbols today.
As a tarot nerd, it seems most prominent that the lady in the Justice card of the basic Rider-Waite deck is both wearing a red dress and has a hairstyle reminiscent of one of those fancy Egyptian king hats. What do you call them?
Nemes?
Yes! See the hair in the old-timey Justice card? See her hair? It looks like a Nemes.
It is kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but why isn't she blind?
You don't know?
I think
She's got pupils.
Blind people have pupils. They just can't see out of them, Tim.
I thought that just had holes.
Those are pumpkins.
so. I think just to peer into the distance, because we are eventually landing on this card in the tarot. Justice isn't really blind. It just acts that way if it's true.
Like Helen Keller.
All I know is pain.
So how exactly do you artistically represent a universal principle that governs absolutely everything from the cosmic order above to the moral order of man below? It's a tall order.
It's real inclusive. You know, it's a lot.
Like any other universal conceptual energies, Ma'at really is too big to simplify into just looking like a single thing.
Scales! What about scales?
It makes sense, though, that symbolism in ancient Egypt was so multi-layered. So this feat did not stop the ancient Egyptians from doing their best to symbolically represent these concepts in relatable ways in order for all the plebs to get the gist of it. And thank God, because that's the only way it spoke to me. So they did what they were good at, portraying these huge, abstract concepts through their expressions in nature itself, utilizing symbolic art, analogy, colors, hieroglyphs, and myths.
And now we just stop taking our meds to attain the same skill.
Wait, you get meds?
No. I pretend to take them.
The ancient Egyptians had a deeply metaphorical language that was integrated into every aspect of life, where every word painted a vivid picture of what energetic signature something had and how it was interconnected.
So it actually is poetry math. That's why it's so spell heavy. Get it?
Hold on. Okay, continue.
It makes what we might see as separate become more relatable for us. So for Ma'at, how do we see her? Well, there's a lot of information that can be derived from even just a few of these symbols associated with her. starting with her clothing. Her most common depiction in art is as a woman wearing a red sheath dress, or caliceres, and upon her head stands a white or blue ostrich feather. So let's focus on the dress first, because clothing itself can be thought of as symbolizing how these particular divinities appear to us. In other words, the garments that are depicted tell us how these divine energies are dressed, or rather how they present themselves as well as what covers them. Egyptians were very fond of puns and metaphors, so they made liberal use of symbolic art to convey these meanings.
You guys know that dreams and dream symbolism also speaks using puns?
Yes.
Our brains work this way.
Yeah, so they're
Yes,
actually
they do.
onto something.
Okay, so remember the scene in The Matrix where Morpheus asks Neo if he was looking at the woman in the red dress?
Yeah.
Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
Oh, I was looking at the woman in the red dress.
Look again.
So known as caliceres, this kind of sheath dress was form-fitting, showing all of the natural curves of the female form, and it was considered to be a very flattering style. Goddesses like Ma'at were often given highly idyllic and flattering bodily proportions in their feminine depictions. This was symbolic of their beauty, perfection of form, and expressions.
Just like the Greeks. Wait a minute. So the ancient Egyptians had the femme fatale red dress first?
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
Traditionally, the caliceres can be tied either in a way that is below the breast, supporting it, or tied up to cover them.
Hold on a minute. Now, you're saying that this femme fatale red dress motif is sacred to Ma'at, and where do you always see this? Like old noir films. It's like in the police station, right? It's a hard-boiled detective story where you have the femme fatale. It's too fitting.
Well, if it's noir, you don't see it's red.
It's assumed. It's assumed, Heka. But they always have to do with crime, which has to do with the law. Like they're always paired in fiction. It's crazy because I guess this is where it started.
So, like I was saying, the dress itself can be tied either below the breast supporting them or tied to cover them up. And basically, these dresses, they typically had shoulder straps, which may or may not cover the breasts. Sheer veils or linen cloths were also commonly worn over these dresses by people. But we don't actually see those kinds of coverings in most depictions of Ma'at or other Neteret. Instead, in most artistic renderings of Neteret, they are shown with the caliceres tied beneath their breasts and the straps coming up, but with their breasts exposed to the sides of the straps. This is basically ancient multi-purpose breastfeeding clothing.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
So you're saying the error Neo made was taking his eyes off the girl in the red dress?
What if she was a Latina red dress lady and she had a shoe that she could assault you with?
Would have made it even more on point, as we shall shortly see.
Maybe if he didn't take his eyes off of her, he would have seen the shoe coming.
Agent Smith should have been holding a shoe.
Yeah, he's gonna get the shoe.
Yeah,
Shoe dodging.
That's exactly what
In
happens
bullet
in that
time.
scene.
So in modern times, we have nursing clothes, which make access for breastfeeding much easier. But back then, they just had these easily maneuverable straps. Since many of these depictions showed these Egyptian Neteret wearing red sheath dresses with their exposed breasts, it clearly indicates a kind of nurturing, motherly principle. They offer life-giving principles in the same way that a mother feeds her child. It's not surprising then that we also see these same red dress-wearing goddesses depicted as being wet nurses to the child Horus, like Nephthys, for example, or alternatively nurturing the pharaoh, invoking the same energetic narrative.
Me? Protect you.
After all, the Ka of all the Neteru themselves live on Ma'at, and so do we. This symbolism is anthropomorphized, making it understandable and deeply relatable for us. These nourishing maternal or wet nurse aspects of the red dress-wearing goddesses become much clearer if we understand this.
I think this is why they give the president in Death Stranding a red dress, like throughout the game. It's probably invoking the same idea. My mind is blown away. So, okay, hear me out. My best friend.
Your breasts?
Yeah, that's something to talk about. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so hear me out. My best friend growing up, his name was Eric. His older brother, his name was Scott. So back when he was still alive, he once took us both aside and explained briefly to us in earnest that heaven was in fact real, but it was when a woman rubbed hazelnut lotion on her titties and put them in your face. And I was thinking about this while doing the notes, and for some reason, I decided to look it up. Turns out hazelnut is sacred to Mercury, or the Hermes Thoth equivalent, so that would be Ma'at's husbando, right? Because Ma'at is married to Thoth, and then Thoth becomes Hermes Mercury. And then hazelnut is also used to fashion the Anglo-Saxon rod of power, which indicates authority.
I got that rod of power.
Now, this is important because the rod is well associated with the Justice card in the tarot because, as we discussed, the Hebrew letter associated with it, lamed, it means ox goad. So, rod of power. It's also depicted as a staff, the letter lamed. It's the tallest letter in the Hebrew alphabet. So, it turns out that memes converge. Scott was actually speaking Egyptian metaphors without knowing it, but I'm sure he also meant it literally. You know what I mean?
So, in a nutshell, there wasn't a strict taboo regarding exposed breasts in ancient Egypt. In anthropomorphic representations of these goddesses, however, you do find that the main difference between exposed breasts or covered ones mostly comes down to whether it's a nurturing principle that was being conveyed or not. Many of these Neteret do have powerful, life-giving principles, so the red dress symbolism was very common. This becomes especially clear when these Neteret are juxtaposed next to figures of deceased women who are fully clothed. One such example of this is famously in QV 66, the tomb of Queen Nefertari in the Valley of the Queens. So here we find Queen Nefertari's dress fully covers her chest. A draped sheer veil is worn on top of that, as Isis in her red dress leads her by the hand.
Yeah, and her titties hanging out.
Yep.
But the queen has got all sorts of garments on. Okay, I see.
So that said, I do also have an example of a feminine, I guess, Neteret, not quite, that is not life-giving and more often than not lacks side boob or nip slips via breast straps, and that is the fully naked Ammit.
Woo!
Ammit is usually a flat-chested hybrid crocodile lion hippo goddess who wants to eat your heart if you've failed to live in Ma'at.
Now, from what I understand, combination of the crocodile and the hippopotamus is pretty much the ancient Egyptian equivalent of a dragon, right?
That's pretty close, yeah.
Like, the important part is it rises up from the deep and it devours your asshole. That's the point.
So the reason why I kind of paused and said, well, not quite Neteret, is because this is the demon goddess that sits patiently at the side of the scales as your heart is weighed against a feather of Ma'at. So this is Ammit's only role. She doesn't really appear pretty much anywhere else. She is the devourer of the dead. Her name, Ammit, or Ammut, actually parallels with the comment from the beginning of our last episode. Her name means to swallow, devour, know, or understand, and mut, meaning dead. Interestingly, this does overlap with the theme of the Hebrew Ammit, because similarly here with Ammit's name, if the is dropped, you are also left with mut, which means dead.
I'm sure that's a coincidence.
Ammit's name reflects a similar eating or knowing, which we can relate to themes in the cannibal hymn as well. Her representation goes back to the Middle Kingdom, but she is seen most commonly in texts from the New Kingdom. Her nature in these texts indicates the consequences of being consumed by one's own willful ignorance. So basically, one's own personal neglect for union with eternal life through mutual relation and the taking in of the cow of the Neteru. That's what's being reflected here in Ammit devouring the ignorant heart. So this was a fate that was considered far worse than the first death itself. Ammit, however, is not a concept that goes back to the pyramid texts, but she is still worth considering as an expression of what we can call Ma'at math as a whole. She was never depicted in human form, nor did she have any temples or mention outside of the funerary pyre.
Is she really flat-chested or she's just spooky? Because she's got nipples. I see the nipples.
Okay, so that said, I did put two pictures in the show notes here because even though many depictions of Ammit show her completely in a beast hybrid form with no boobs, there are also some depictions of her that alternatively draw her with a great many breasts, or sometimes
Yeah, she's got like a zillion boobs there.
Why?
Or sometimes even with the feather of Ma'at upon her head as well.
It's not a feather. It's actually delicious macaroni, and Ammit is well trained to balance it without eating it.
So as for why, I did put two pictures, like I said, in the show notes. This one picture that has all the boobies. This is a late example in the notes of the boobalicious Ammit with the feather on her head. And it's from the Book of Going Forth by Day, also called the Book of the Dead, belonging to Zoar, priest of Bastet from the Ptolemaic period. So it's possible that the Greeks just wanted to throw some boobs on her. I don't know. Who knows?
All right, so they got good taste then.
Who suckles from Ammit's breasts anyway?
Greek.
I mean, it's probably in the file somewhere.
Okay, so regarding that red dress, although other colors were sometimes used, it seems as though Ma'at was more often than not depicted in red as the dress color of choice. We do sometimes see white, but more often than not it's red. So we talked about the style of the dress. What about the fact that it's red?
It's because it's the best color and it always has been.
No, it's because it holds energy.
Okay, so colors in ancient Egypt were especially important in conveying the core essence of whatever it was that was being depicted. Each color acted as a kind of unique energetic stamp, telling us what that thing has as its foundational expressions or essence.
You know, it works this way in a good deck of tarot cards, too. The colors are important, and they tell you things about the card.
It's interesting if you find, like, Egyptian texts or walls that actually still have the original colors on them, because you'll have a whole plethora of different colors. Like, all these hieroglyphs are done in all these different colors for good reason. So, with the red dress, it was also worn by several other goddesses, as we know, like Hathor, Isis, Sekhmet, and more. So, these characteristics regarding red will also apply to all the other red dress wearing goddesses as well. The Kemetic word for red is desher, which just happens to be the same word that they used for flamingo. So basically, we say red, but the word for red, desher, is flamingo. So like, your favorite color is flamingo.
I love it!
Flesh colored.
What if you'd like to hear more about flamingos?
Alchemy.
Yes, lots of alchemy. Kid Rock. We're going to talk about Kid Rock.
Ostriches?
Monster boobs?
We're gonna talk about ostrich feather,
We're going to talk more about ostriches than you think.
and we'll give you the shoe.
And if you want to get the shoot, then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of just $5 will not only get you the second half of this episode, you'll get the second half of our entire, I think it's about 7 years, our next episode. Your entire 7-year library full of occult-themed episodes that have the most realist information we could have possibly fit in there, sprinkled liberally with bad jokes.
They're very Ma'at.
Yes, I'm hypnotized by this image of Shu fondling New in the notes, which Newt. And if you want to do the same,
That's his daughter.
gross! That's f***ing gross! Never mind.
You take it too literally, though.
I'm sorry. You can also find the notes at our $10 a month tier. Each notes for each episode is like a book, and we're stupid for not publishing them. But you can check them out on the Patreon. Until then, everybody, thank you. Eat carrots and shoot lasers.
It's gonna be awesome.
Pew, pew, pew.